Um, 2 years there, we're like competing in MLG, so I had the same
All right. What is going on, MarketSquare Gaming? We have a special treat today. We have the man, Striker, one of the top streamers, here,
What
ready now.
what's going on, everyone? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm excited, brother. Let's get this thing on the show on the road. What you say?
Yeah, man. So first, let's introduce, where did you get into gaming? How did this all start? Give me the lowdown on everything.
Well, I mean, I've been playing games really since I was little, right? My cousin got me in at a very young age. But honestly, things really took a turn when I started playing Halo 2 professionally back in 2006, all the way back then, if you can believe it. It was some good times.
What came with professional gaming at that level? Like, what was that like at that time? How did that even come about?
Well, so it started really because I mean I've just been naturally a competitive person, and I remember I was playing baseball in college, and there in the dorms, the whole team we had a big Halo tournament, right? So I got hooked. The guys we went ahead and made a little team, and we went around. I was going to school in Austin,
Okay.
so we went around the town and we competed at a couple little small events just for fun. One thing led to another. You know, I love the competition and ended up finding myself a team, and we ended up going to MLG New York in 2006.
No way. That's awesome. Yeah. So after that, how did that progress? Like, what happened after Halo 2?
So actually Halo 2 turned, I mean, I've just always been naturally a fan of business. So I'm an accountant. Okay. So it just business just itself, resonated with me. So like I was doing obviously the pro gaming and competing in tournaments, but then I took it to the next step and I went ahead and I started throwing, Halo tournaments, LAN tournaments, like all over my local area, renting out ballrooms, we had upwards of like 300 different competitors at the peak.
That's awesome.
So just turned it into a small business. Really,
300 local people.
300 local, yeah. It was huge. I had ran out a ballroom. We set up like 32 TVs, 32 Xboxes. All awesome. Over the course of a weekend. Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I had kids driving around 6 hours away just to come to the tournament. It was good times.
How did you get the word out for something like that?
I mean, back then it was all Facebook. It was all Facebook and MySpace, right? And
MySpace.
And luckily, I found the right guys that all wanted to compete and all brought their friends, and then it just turned into a big community, kind of like what's happening right now with crypto.
Yeah. Oh man. One of the things I've noticed actually, particularly with Lost Relics as well as some of the other games where I've actually engaged the community in blockchain, is there's a refreshing lack of toxicity. It's like you ask a question and no one just gives you some BS answer or throws you under the bus. They actually help you, which
exactly
is go to Call of Duty and ask some questions in some lobbies and see what type of answers you get. Like you'll find one player that will help you out of 40 that just harass you.
Definitely. And like when we're talking about crypto and crypto-based gaming, like the thing with crypto, right, it does come back to the idea of community. So, when you buy into a game or when you're having fun with a game, like now all of a sudden you're incentivized to help the community progress, rather than just be, 100% toxic all the time.
I mean, 100% though. Like I get, because it's like, if we all win, like we all win, like the developers, the players, the community, everything. So how did you then originally get into crypto? What was your first venture into that, and how did you transition from that to gaming with that, or what came first, the chicken or the egg type of deal?
Yeah, so crypto came first for me, at least on my journey. So back in 2017, I had a good friend of mine come up to me and just start mentioning the idea about Bitcoin, right? And I ended up researching it, and after about 4 weeks of research, it piqued my interest. But after about 4 weeks of like really deep research, I was like, oh my God, this technology like could change the world.
Oh,
so yeah. So like the very first thing back in the, I mean, everyone's just, when you're trying to get into crypto, you start by experimenting. And so in 2017, the thing to do back then was to mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had always wanted to build, I hadn't even yet built my own PC yet. I'd always wanted to build a PC. So I was like, look, best way to kill two birds with one stone. I'll build a PC that can mine crypto, and let's just see if it works. And that's how I got in.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually got introduced from a friend. The only reason why I even started really looking into it is he had a poker tournament, and he worked for, honestly, the company that I work for now, ARC, and he was like, the winner gets like $50 in ARC. And so I ended up winning, and it was like, I don't know, like, what are you talking about? Setting up some digital wallet, like, whatever. Yeah, I've heard of Bitcoin, but like, this seems like a hassle. Like, I won. I shouldn't be having to jump through hoops. And, one thing led to another, finally set that thing up, and I started actually looking into it more because it was at the time where it was rising a little bit before another one of the dips. And so I then was like, well, this is actually kind of cool. Like, and lo and behold, like, here I am working for, a blockchain company, and that's
they hooked you.
They did. Like, so when did you first discover blockchain gaming? Like, how did that come about?
That one was a good one. So, and actually, that's one of my favorite crypto stories because, so I was playing right before the pandemic hit the U.S. So this was like the very beginning of 2020.
Okay.
So I was playing softball, just a recreational league, and kickball as well, right? And once COVID hit, they canceled everything. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I had all this free time on my hands, and I still wanted to do something that was a little bit more competitive in nature. So I just started Googling like video game tournaments, like what could I find, right?
Okay.
And I came across this tournament that was hosted by Swissborg and Engine.
Okay.
And the idea of the tournament was that you would play over the course of like 2 weeks. You'd play roughly, somewhere around 6 to 8 different crypto games, with the idea of earning an NFT in each individual game. And if you earned all the NFTs, before the first round of the tournament ended, if you had all 3 of those NFTs in your wallet, you progressed to the second round. And then you get through the second round, you'd progress to the finale, and the finale was hosted in Lost Relics. It was a special event where, as long as you had assembled all the pieces of the cyborg skin, you would be able to enter a portal in Lost Relics to do like pretty much a speed run, to see which gamer would be the first person to make it in, survive, and claim the prize. And the top 100 players all won cyborg trophies. A few people won engine. Some people, the grand prize winners were raffled off. And I think they won like something like 1,500 in crypto.
Whew.
But after that, like I played all the games, I enjoyed them all. But once I went into Lost Relics, like that, after that, it hooked me. Like I was sold.
Well, I was laughing because I kept looking for initially multiplayer blockchain games, and that's what we were kind of venturing towards. And during my research, I found Lost Relics, and I was kind of like, I don't really care if this is a single player game. Like, I'm just going to play this game because it was just right up my alley. Like, did you play Diablo when you were younger?
Yeah, I got to play a little bit of Diablo for sure.
Okay, because, that was why because that's one of my favorite, like, I love dungeon crawlers. And I had actually written an article earlier, like a couple months ago, talking about how NFTs in gaming, like, should be really, really good, but could actually hurt the player pools. Like, where you look at games like Axie Infinity to actually start playing and stuff, it does cost quite a bit of money. We recently featured War Riders. I don't know if you've played that one. It's kind of like Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I've heard about it for sure.
It's very fun, but it does require some buku bucks to actually get into it. Because they give you like a free van, but the van is just like a moving target that can't kill anything. And so, but
sure.
And then I discovered some more real, like, true to nature play to earn games, which Lost Relics, I think, is one of the most perfect transitions of that, in my opinion. Because it's like, yeah, anyone can find anything. and anything can be worth value, and you can find these NFTs, like the whole I loved the controlling the market with the systems of being able to, you have certain quests that require turn-ins of actual blockchain items, which from what I read, at least, like that's one of their mechanics to control the market.
Definitely.
Which makes a lot of sense to me. I haven't found as many nearly as you have, I'm sure. But yeah, like, so
I got a little bit of a head start on you. That's
yeah,
all.
a little bit, like, right? Like that's awesome. Even playing since essentially like almost day one of this type of a game. So
yeah.
what is like special about Lost Relics and compared to other games that kind of keeps you coming back, in your opinion?
So for my thing, obviously coming from a business background, spending my time as working as a CPA, one of the things that intrigued me about the way that Lost Relics was set up, just like you said, it goes back to the idea of, Diablo-based gameplay, maybe RuneScape, inspired by RuneScape as well. So when I was thinking about, what types of games, crypto in general, like what kind of genres could crypto like really take to the next level in terms of gaming? We had the ideas like with Axie and Pokemon. I thought that was a really great idea. Card-based games too make a lot of sense for NFTs.
Yeah.
But when I saw Lost Relics, this idea, it immediately became apparent to me, and it reminded me so much of playing RuneScape, the way that this like digital economy was able to evolve over time, and how the way that players were able to exchange value, at the time, obviously were being done through black markets, but like regardless of how it was done, like an economy existed, right? So when I think about the combination of crypto and gaming, I think Lost Relics really fits that mold really well to be the next iteration of what a blockchain ecosystem can be in this dungeon crawling type of adventure RPG.
Right? Well, it's like I think it's so silly that you have these companies like World of Warcraft's a great example too, where it's just like you can't stop the second player economy. You can ban like accounts and stuff like that for selling items and gold for real value, but we do it anyway. So why not build it into the system and benefit from it, as well as, like, I don't know about you, but it's like any company that's willing to do that and empower the players as well gets 10 times more points in my book. Because you could have built this exact game on the standard format where we don't have NFTs, we don't own all these things, and it'd still be a very fun game.
Exactly. And the way like I think back in terms of like gaming history, and I think of stuff like Ultima Online, of EVE Online, of and like as time progressed and as video games have continued to evolve, like the idea of blocking players from earning on the secondary market, that was obviously a big foot forward that the video game industry put. And back then, like with World of Warcraft, no one really knew how it was going to play out. Now with the benefit of time, we can see how how mistakes in the very early iterations of this were made, and now with this type of technology that allows like real player ownership, rather than having an individual player invest not only with their time and their dollars, only being able to take away like entertainment satisfaction. Now there's a way for you to actually own the assets, like digital property rights, of these unique NFTs.
Yeah, and just the formatting for how you can find them and stuff, because so many other games are based on buying packs, and you have to spend money to actually find the value in the game. Not Lost Relics. You can just get some gear, go out, and dungeon crawl, and if you find something, you find someone.
Exactly, and that first feeling of finding something is it's another level for sure.
So you told me a story earlier about finding like one of your first big items. Like, can you tell us that again?
Yeah, so it was, oh man, it must have been probably around this time, maybe a year ago. I would have to pull it up, but I was playing. It was late at night, maybe 2:30 in the morning. I was ready to go to bed. And I had my girlfriend, my now fiance, on the phone with me on FaceTime. She had fallen asleep. I hadn't hung up with her yet, and I'm in the middle of this last run, and I post in the Discord for Lost Relics. Hey guys, one last run, wish me luck. And literally in the middle of the competition, a mythical axe dropped, the Dividing Supremacy. Exactly, yeah. So I screamed at the top of my lungs. I woke her up. She's like, "What's happening? What's happening?" And I was like, "I don't know. I need to survive this run. Hold on. I need to survive. I got to get out of this."
The pressure was on.
The pressure was on all the way to the final exit. So,
but you made it.
We made it. We made it out alive, and we were able to claim that first mythical axe. So that was a big one.
So have you kept that? Do you use it?
I have kept it for sure.
Oh, I would too.
That one is. Yeah, that one's not leaving ever. It doesn't matter what happens. That's the one that's
like right. It'll become its own value. It's Striker's first mythical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right there.
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten the pleasure yet of doing that, but you got definitely more time on me. Explain what level you are too.
Okay, so right now I'm level 89. The goal was I wanted to get to level 90, and right now we're in the middle of waiting for a patch to come out.
Yeah,
I wanted to get to level 90. I just barely missed it, but I think right now on the overall leaderboards, I'm top 20 in terms of combat level, top 5 in terms of mining. So
yeah,
far so good.
I was laughing because I really didn't know who you were, and I was just playing and you were on, and I chat while I'm in the game, and everyone's like, Striker, like, oh my god, and it's just like, who is this? Like, why is everybody so excited? And again, it's just like, yeah, I just hit you up. You're just so inviting, like everyone else in the community.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying, the idea of community. We were talking a little bit of pre-show.
Yeah.
Honestly, at least in the beginning, there was the beginning of my time playing Lost Relics. There was a group of players streamers that were all kind of coordinating, helping each other, like pretty much keeping the party going. Anytime that there was some downtime, someone would jump on and stream, and host it up. And really, that's really where a lot of the community started interacting with themselves, right? That in the in-game chat.
Yeah.
And then just from there, new streamers came on board, continued pushing the narrative, the story, everybody hanging out, and we started to form, really close friendships. A lot of different groups have spawned in Lost Relics and started to, make their presence felt across the metaverse. So it's exciting.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's actually, I remember in one of the other minor updates before this big one that's kind of halted things, that they included a clan tag of one specific clan.
The Multiverse Brotherhood.
Is that what they are? Like, I haven't actually run into anyone using the tag.
The OGs of the OGs.
It's like they're the originals. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Respect.
So how quickly did you end up buying items when you originally started playing the game? How quickly were you able to scale through the dungeons? Essentially.
So when I started, so I was coming in right with that tournament that I told you about a little earlier. On the award ceremony, I guess you can say, when the trophies were given out, Cliff actually was the one who hosted the final results. Yeah,
good old Cliff.
Good old Cliff. And at the end of the stream, he broke out a brand new update for Lost Relics, which was like a dramatic change, pretty close to the type of change that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
So I started off with, I'd only played a couple weeks, preparing for that tournament. I just had a couple of uncommon weapons, and I think I had actually gotten my first rare axe before that update. Yeah. And then as soon as that update came out and I realized like what was happening, I was watching all these players, making their own personal investments and, buying pendants and selling them for gold. That was when I decided that I wanted to invest in the game. And I did end up purchasing my first Transcendent around that time. So
I mean,
That's what started it.
It's an NFT, like, so it's an investment.
Exactly.
Like, you can get rid of it anytime you want or not. But
Exactly.
you just get the added bonus that you get to actually use the item.
Yeah,
Like,
the utility, right? That's key. That's what's key.
yeah, that's one of the things that because NFTs I was kind of a hard sell on when I initially was introduced to them. I was like, they're just digital pictures. Like, I get the idea, I just don't get the idea personally. And then when the utility came in, it was like, oh, I totally get it now. Like, this brought it to a new level for me, being able to actually use these things as well as treat them as a digital owner asset.
Definitely. And I like from my personal standpoint, so other than gaming and back in the Halo 2 days, so I've owned and operated multiple businesses, and one of them is in the industry of sports cards and collectibles, memorabilia.
Okay.
So, for the longest time, honestly, since I've been a kid, because it was with me and my father, I've always been around this idea of like being able to trying to evaluate like a certain piece and be able to describe like its value, before you end up deciding that's like the collectible you want to have, whether it's a autographed baseball bat or a football rookie card or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I've come from that background. So when I saw, NFTs in general, non-gaming related, I got it. I understand exactly how artists could use this. I understand how like different small businesses could use NFTs. It made sense to me, and I was able to like come up with an idea of why they were valuable. But the moment that I saw them used in games, that's like the moment that it just clicked for me, because now not only like now it has an additional value added onto it because of utility, which doesn't exist in a lot of other NFTs.
100%. Yeah, it's like the same way. Like I saw the value for the artists, but I didn't understand why people were paying what they were paying for initially. But after I've kind of immersed myself more into it, I get it a lot more. I'm way more excited about them in general, but far more particular to utility NFTs, I guess, is the way that I'd label them. I don't know if there's an actual term for them now that I think about it. As opposed yeah.
Utility, I would definitely say, fits the mold, because like when it comes to gaming, all of a sudden you go on the website, you make a purchase, and you get the image in your digital wallet, Yeah. In the case for Lost Relics, it's the engine wallet. So
yeah.
You get the notification that all of a sudden this new sword or relic is in your inventory. But then when you log into the game without doing anything, it just appears. It's just, so
that was, yeah. I loved that so much, because I set up the engine wallet. I was like, the first one that I bought was literally just, I want to have a little dragon following me around, and I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for like to actually get the items to buy one of the, or to like earn one of the in-game like pets. And so I was just like, okay, it's like $3, like let's go for it. Gas fees were really low that day, so it really was, I think, like $10 or $12 total. And it was, I also didn't know that they collected things for me or broke down, bookshelves and vases and stuff while they run around the dungeon. But
I've heard rumors that they might be attacking in the future.
What?
I don't know. I'm just rumors right now.
That'd be awesome. What do you think of, I know we haven't been able to play it yet, but so the new update has so much stuff that's getting overhauled, changed, complete, like tweaked, but the graveyard PvP kind of ground. Like,
yeah, I go for it.
I was just going to say, like, it seems really intriguing. Like, I've been wanting, kind of raid style dungeons where 4 of us can get together and go do a dungeon together.
Oh yeah,
which I'm sure is coming down the road. But what do you think about the introduction of that? I know it's just speculation right now because we haven't been able to actually play or get our hands on it. But
so I actually got one quick shot at it when the patch just came up for a little bit, right before the changes needed to be made. So I got one attempt.
Oh,
yeah.
Do tell.
I got one attempt. It was fun. So So in the attempt that I went in, I spawned with an epic sword and an epic bow. Nothing else.
Okay.
And what I didn't know originally was, how long of a competition was it going to be? Is this going to be like a 5 to 10 minute kind of game, or is this going to be like a 1 to 4 hour grind, like marathon type of challenge?
Yeah.
So it does look like you get enemies thrown at you really quick.
Okay.
And over the course of time, over the course of like 2 or 3 minutes, I started noticing that the enemies' speed started increasing. There's a indicator on the screen that lets you know, like, okay, they're now moving at 1.2 times speed, regular speed. They're speeding up.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, so they're spawning everything, all the skeletons, spiders, the big tanks,
Yep.
vamp bats, all across the board. I was able to get up. I'd have to go look at the stream again, but I got to, I think it was like 117 kills before I died.
Oh, nice.
But I do think, if the contest does sound like it's going to end on October 15th with some pretty major prizes.
Okay.
So I do think that it's going to be an event that the community is really going to go nuts on. I've already seen multiple people talking about, okay, I'm going to, personal challenges amongst players, other players talking about the idea of like, whenever I go in, I'm not going to stream because I need to keep this to myself. Like people are going to go nuts. I'm telling you already.
It's like, that's great. Yeah. Cause I was very intrigued by it. I was like, oh, like they're adding essentially the first attempt kind of at a multiplayer aspect thing where, yeah, like the community is getting pitted against each other, and which I thought was very cool.
Exactly, and you hit the nail on the head. Like adding in a new like competitive or a new way to interact for players to interact with themselves.
Yeah,
I mean it's just the start, So this is really the test run, I would assume, for what future when you talk about the idea of like co-op dungeon raids and things like that. I think this is just the test bed to see how things interact, to be able to expand on it going into the future.
Well, I hope it works. Anybody that plays Lost Relics and is listening, like, participate. Like, let's get some more stuff like that going, because also too, all the work that goes into these type of things, like we've seen the onboarding of the new update was supposed to take X amount of time and it's exceeded it, which does happen. But it is nice also that the devs are also very engaged with the community. It's not like you can go to the Call of Duty Discord page and talk to a developer and hear about what's going on and them actually having a conversation with you, giving you the time of day. Like, they care just as much as the community.
Exactly. And it comes with, over the course of time, I've gone, in June of 2020 is when I began with Lost Relics, so I've gone past a year. And just watching these types of patches roll out, obviously, when I started playing, and when we got into the Halloween event, there was roughly 600 players, logged in or being able to play over the course of a month. There was roughly 25,000 engine being traded amongst players. I've seen the game, I've seen the patches. Every single patch that comes out, more and more players join. At the peak, right after Easter, we hit roughly 28,000 players, circulating around 250,000 engine a month, which at Engine's current price, what's Engine's at right now? Engine's at $1.20.
Yeah.
So for every month, that would roughly be $300,000 circulating the economy
just
of
for
NFTs,
the game.
just for the game. So I've seen how major changes have had to come out, and yeah, there's been bumps along the road, but of course it should be expected. We're in early access, and obviously building with crypto technology that's changing every single day. It's next level.
I mean, it's always got to be evolving too. That, and like, this is one of the more, for being technically an alpha, this looks more beta than half the games that I've tested and tried, which was made it so appealing to me. It's like, you got a dungeon crawler that actually seems like this could have been the final product and I would have been fine. Which I know it's not, but it's like, this is more than enough already, and this is just the tip of the iceberg for what these people have planned.
Exactly. I seen, when I started, because I mean, I did my due diligence. Like I went around and I was looking at a lot of the NFT games that were coming out, and from the way I tend to look at it, obviously, like operating a business is, how long does it take for video games to get made? What's the average? What does that look like? And I started to realize that once the ICO boom in crypto happened back in 2017 and 2018, the very first rounds, back then was crypto kitties.
Yep.
Kitties kind of like
what was it? Genesis was the first one, I think.
Yeah, it showed it proved the model that games like this could exist. Now, there was obviously issues when we talk about gas fees and things along those lines, but from there on, at that point in time, 2017, 2018, a whole group of games started getting developed. Lost Relics was in that category, with games like Axie, games like Gods Unchained, Splinterlands, back around that time frame. Now we've entered into, and I believe are continuing, a bull market here with crypto, and we have this next round of games that are wanting to give it their shot at taking it to the next level, and what it means to adapt. But all along, at least with respect to Lost Relics, I've seen Cliff and Cobit Labs, like every single time a new update comes out, there's always something new to do. The economy continues to grow, player base continues to go up and down.
Yeah,
and it's an exciting ride.
If the last time that I feel like I checked was what? There's 90,000 active players. Almost, I think it's like 85 to 9,500 daily, and then there's another 90,000 waiting for access that weren't purchasing, power pendants to actually gain access.
Exactly. So if I look on the website right now, that number has jumped from 90,000 to roughly 109,000. So 19,000 more players over the course of that time frame.
Which is literally, like, I want to say less than 5 days.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I think the news has been slowly getting out about the patch. And the way, obviously, these games are being developed on the fly. Like, while we're playing them, they're being developed, So, when players, or what I've noticed is that when players are waiting for that next patch to come out, whether it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months down the road, what ends up happening is that these new updates end up bringing the community together, especially for holiday events, Players that might not have been back, for a few months, everybody comes back for the Halloween event, and it feels like another reunion all over again,
I'm excited for that one. I haven't participated in that one. What has been in the past for those?
Yeah, so in the past, what ends up happening, or what has happened in the past, we'll see if he keeps the same model, is that, first off, with the new update comes a release of new NFTs that could be farmed in the dungeons if you're lucky enough to find them. On top of that, he would release this in-game type of currency, not a cryptocurrency, just an event type currency that could be found in the dungeons. And if you're able to accumulate enough of them, there's a shop with a limited amount of items. Some of them NFTs, some of them virtual items. So if you're grinding and accumulating this currency, which is also, players can sell that to each other in game, in exchange for gold, which is, the main in-game currency for Lost Relics. But if you're able to get those, it pretty much turns into a little miniature race to see who's going to be able to get what, and how fast are you going to be able to claim those items before they get sold out, before the event is over.
That's what was it, like pets or actual like cool Halloween specific item, like swords?
Definitely. For Halloween, there was there was the Flaming Jack and the Flaming Jill in 2019 and 2020.
The skins.
The skins.
Yep.
There were virtual pets, the Billy Boo, which is in game, and also some relics. Some the Tricky Treats, which are an epic relic, and a couple consumables also. To give you a little bit more health or energy. I believe, I'm trying to remember which one the Halloween was. I know the Easter one was a chocolate bunny consumable, and I believe it gave you cocoa sticks, and I think it gave you like 300 energy and 100 health. The chat will correct me for sure.
Oh
But
yeah, you know.
but yeah, there was for Christmas there was the sugar cane sweeties.
Okay.
So yeah, there'll be a new one. I'm assuming if he keeps the same model.
Yeah, if he does, like we'll see too. He's definitely got his hands full right now. Good luck,
Mhm.
Cliff. We still appreciate you.
100%.
Yeah. So are there other games at all that you've kind of looked at that, or are you kind of like me right now, where this is my bread and butter? I have played other ones like Spider Tanks recently. I found to be
Yep.
very fun. Um, but yeah, this one's at least held my interest the longest. Are there other ones that you play currently, or is this the one?
Yeah, so I am invested in a few other games. In terms of, I like to think of it. I like to think of like currency investment being separate from time investment, right?
Okay.
So in terms of my time, 95%, if not more, is going into Lost Relics. And in terms of investing, I have some stuff in Splinterlands. I have some stuff in different types of games, but I just recently got into a brand new game that launched its founders token today, actually, Million on Mars. So I'm excited to support
I'll
that team on Wax.
I'll have to check that one out. I haven't heard of that one
Definitely.
yet. Splinterlands is one that also was like just like this. It translated so perfectly into blockchain card collectible games or collectible card
Yeah,
games. Like just because it's the exact same as real life. You just have an online player pool, and they're all digital cards instead of regular cards. And you can
exactly.
yeah, because I remember when I played Magic, that was half the problem. You'd go to play in tournaments at conventions and stuff, and I'd have because I remember I started in alpha of,
Mhm.
so I had a Black Lotus. I didn't want to
Ooh,
use it at a certain point because I didn't want it to get damaged, and you can't use the sleeves while you're playing in the tournaments. But I can't put a placeholder card. I have to use the card, and so by the time I was done using it and running through it when I was younger, it was worth pennies on the dollar of what it could have been nowadays. Which also my
yeah.
dad sold as a bundle with for $2,000 with a ton of Magic cards. It's just like, Dad, like after I left for college, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, definitely.
But
I had that same type of experience, but the difference is since both me and my father were into collectibles and memorabilia, I made sure that whenever I was going to play with my cards, and I had trouble at tournaments for sure, I always put all my cards into top loaders, and I'd
oh,
play with them in top loaders.
okay.
So I still have those cards today, and they're still in mint condition because of it.
Dude, my
So
man. Like,
lucky.
I wish. Like, my dad was the guy where it's like he's got all these. He was always a comic book guy. He's got them all in these cardboard
Yeah.
box, and you've got the original Spider-Mans and stuff like that, or the original Fantastic Fours from the 50s and 60s, but they're all beaten to hell, so they're not worth anything anymore. But yeah,
Yeah.
but
Condition.
it can happen on blockchain.
That's true.
You get all the benefits and none of those repercussions.
Yeah, I mean, blockchain brings its own risk, right? Its own education curve that has to happen, and
True.
I've just been trying to do my best to share that information in as easy of a way as I can, so that when players get onboarded, I mean, there's a bunch of hurdles you got to jump through if you're playing crypto games right now.
Hmm.
But once you get through those hurdles, it's next level. It's the future.
Well, I got really lucky. I had a really great experience actually with installing and accessing Lost Relics because I had originally the first engine game that I played was the Six Dragons, and
Very nice.
it was kind of a complicated because it was just like play now. Here's a file, and it's like my VLC player wants to open this file, and it can't actually access what needs to go on. And it didn't
Hmm.
directly tell me, extract this thing. This is what you need to be doing to actually be able to install the game and stuff. And then after doing all that, had to set up an engine wallet that I hadn't done yet. And then I found Lost Relics, and I downloaded it. I installed it like any other game from its exe, and because I had an engine wallet, it was just like, here's the QR code, link it, boom, you're done. Have fun. Go play.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits, really, I think, of having, a type of developer like Cliff. I could see. I mean, there's one thing. It's one thing to build out the game. That's one area. But then to build out the website and the in-game shop and customer service and the Discord just watching all these things get built out like day to day. I see it. I'm just like, it blows my mind how talented this guy is.
Yeah, no, and we all get to benefit from it because, like I said, I love this game. It's really unfortunate that we're not able to, play and talk. But hopefully, tonight.
I have a feeling it's going to be worth the wait.
Oh yeah, no, I was laughing that just reading even just a section of the update would have been a good update. But there's like 20 sections to the update, and they're all like, "Oh, okay, like we're doing this now. Like, it's awesome. I can't believe you got to play it. I'm very jealous.
We got very lucky. Yeah, we got it on the very first night. It was up for around 30 minutes there. Right before we needed to make some change. He needed to make some changes to the patch. But yeah, I got one run in. Actually, it was a crazy run. I went into Mount Olkep, and I found like, I don't even know how many legendaries. It was like 7 legendaries. I think I found not blockchain, virtual.
Still,
but still, it was a crazy run. That was the only run I got in, and I did one of the Graveyard Rumble attempts.
That's awesome.
So I don't know.
So
I don't know how it's gonna be.
How does the game change for you from, I haven't experienced a lot of the higher level dungeons and stuff. What's the experience from jumping from, like the first, like 2 tiers of dungeons to, I assume you're doing the top tiers now.
Yeah, so the thing with going into top tier dungeons is that typically when you're trying to farm some of your gathering skills. So there's 4 gathering skills, right? There's wood cutting, there's scavenging, there's fishing, and there's mining. So as you progress through the different levels, more and more rare blockchain items and or virtual items are available in the higher dungeons that might not be available in the lower dungeons. So as the game has evolved over time, back in roughly around this time last year was when levels got introduced. So over the course of 1 year, I've been grinding all the levels up, getting to higher and higher rankings in different categories, with the idea being that when new updates come out and when new blockchain items become available, at least I'll have the level to attempt to go in there to farm those items. Just with all the other players as well.
Yeah.
One of the issues, and you kind of touched on it at the very beginning, in blockchain gaming is like, since it's a player-owned economy, since players, we know how gamers are, how we all can get super excited, camping outside for 3 days waiting for the new Xbox to drop or whatnot.
Yep.
So how does that transition into crypto gaming? Well, a lot of these NFTs start to go up in price, and it happens, pretty quickly, which, makes it a little more difficult for new players to get involved, right?
Yep.
With this patch, however, it does look like there's going to be a new method for player progression that's going to allow brand new players that that want to play the game but don't necessarily want to invest immediately. It's going to give them an opportunity to progress and eventually be able to earn their way to those top tier dungeons without having a blockchain item. So that's going to be exciting to see how the new wave of players that come in. Like I refer back to it when I'm talking with other friends, like generations of players.
Okay.
There's the group of guys that came in at the beginning of 2021. There's the guys that came in Halloween 2020, and then there's the real OGs from 2019. Like there's these different waves that keep coming in.
And again, though, all waves willing to help each other, which is
exactly,
amazing. Because I even feel like when I first started talking to you in the game chat, you answered multiple of my questions that I randomly had. you don't have to waste your time doing that. But everybody cares. Everybody wants everybody to do great.
Exactly, because you hit the nail on the head earlier. You said the idea of like if you win, I win, and the developer wins, and we all win, right? So I feel like it's this whole community pushing forward and trying to try to take it to the next level, try to the next step.
So have you ever lost any items? You ever died and been like, no? Like,
so I actually had my biggest loss ever about one to 2 weeks like previously from today, right before the patch. It was a bad one. So I was being lazy, unfortunately. I was playing in the background while I was watching like the Hunger Games or something on the other screen, and I had very little health left. And there's this one item in the game that's called the Blue Gram. It allows you to teleport from wherever you drop the location, wherever you dropped it. So I cleared all the dungeon. I just needed to go back and get the chests. I had very little health. So I dropped the Blue Gram right in front of the exit, just so that I can go back, run across the lava pit, get the chest, portal back, and get out. So it all went to plan, except when I portaled back, I misclicked the exit, and I didn't click it fast enough to actually get out, and the lava killed me.
oh.
So I lost. Yeah, I lost roughly 600,000 gold.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So if for the people that are looking on the stream right now, you're playing as the level 5 with 131 gold.
Yeah.
So I lost 600,000 gold in that one run. It hurt.
That's like, that hurt. Like, I thought it hurt because like my dumbass, after completing the first one, you get they give you like a green item. Like after your first dungeon. So I was like, yeah, buddy, like, let's put this thing on. Like, I'm feeling big and bad. That was no problem. Let's go right back in. And it was like, you can't play level 1. You got to go to a higher level. I was like, okay, obviously I'm ready for this. Go into level 2. Just like a toad was not prepared at all, because anyone that got close to me, it's like I still have a gray weapon as my melee because I hadn't bought anything at the time. It's like this, like what's actually playing, like type of stuff, and it was just gone. Like, it was just like, oh god, okay, all right, so
back to start.
Yep, and like luckily after like sharing my woes with the community, everyone's like, all right, well, like, you should keep playing and grinding the first dungeon until you're able to complete it with over, like, they said on average like 1,700 to 2,000 health. Like, and once you've done that, then you maybe, if you have the items ready for that. But after losing the one, I immediately was like, screw this, I'm going to go get a couple blockchain items on Engine. And, just grab some basic cheap ones because it wasn't that expensive. And, again, I got lucky again. The gas fees were really low. And
yeah, that's one of the big keys.
Yeah, that's the thing that I keep complaining about that's holding so many games back, is everyone's building stuff on Ethereum, which is great, but it costs so much. Like, you're spending 4 times the amount of the actual item on facilitating the purchase.
Yeah, it's definitely the price to pay. It's for the learning curve of understanding, back when I was accumulating a majority of the items, I was setting alarms to let me know, like, when gas fees went down to a certain price, so that, like, if there was a new item that hit the marketplace, I really, really wanted it for whatever reason, but I didn't want to just, be burning Ethereum for no good reason.
Yeah.
So I would just set an alarm to let me know, like, hey, when it's at this price, go in and scoop it up. And, we had to go, there's a lot of different things players had to try to do to, navigate the space. It's some of the growing pains, but these different layer 2 scaling solutions are coming out, and different blockchains are becoming more prominent. So we'll see, what the future holds. But I just think, there's 2 ways to look at it. I think you're completely right, and I think a majority of developers would say and agree with you that gas has held back a lot of these different games. On the other hand, I would make the argument that if gas is this high and players are still willing to spend the gas to get in, at least at certain points in time, that kind of just shows how much demand there is for people to actually want to get into the game.
That's very true.
Two different perspectives on the same scenario. Obviously, the true answer is somewhere in the middle, but
Yeah.
we gotta see how it goes.
Yeah, and I mean that 100% right though, because it's like I still pay him. I still want that item. I don't care. Like this matters more to me than that at the end of the day. There are days like where I was cracking up when we went to go buy War Riders tanks. They're about, at the time I think they were about $1,000. And at one point when we originally tried to buy it, the gas fees were like $400 and something. And it was just like, maybe we won't buy these right now. And you just waited, and like you said, like that's a really smart plan that I actually haven't done that I should start doing, is setting an alarm to let me know when those fees are lower, because
definitely always be on the lookout for Sundays too. Sundays tend to be a good day.
Are they? There's a good tip right there. It's like, yeah, and like Ray in the chat saying, like, the demand for people to own their own assets supersedes the cost of those fees. Like,
exactly
the same reason why I own them. I'll still complain from time to time about the gas fees, but it's just pure venting of being like, I still bought it. I knew what I was getting into. I knew the cost. I wanted it still. It didn't matter. The demand for, getting more out of the game. And I just didn't want to lose my items again.
Yeah, that kind of goes to, one of the things that I've been paying very close attention to when it comes to blockchain technology. The race for layer 2 scaling solutions. Whether it's Axie with the Ronin chain or Polygon or all these other different solutions, everyone's trying to solve the same problem first, and someone's going to be the winner.
Mm-hmm.
No one really knows. Engines attempting to bring out Efinity on Polkadot. So
yep,
it's a lot of different potential solutions to the same problem, and I know that someone's going to hit the nail on the head sooner or later. When it comes to Lost Relics, Cliff implemented an in-game system so that once you bring your engine into the game by purchasing what are called shadow stones, you can now trade gaslessly within the game. So
yeah, that is a huge thing that I actually haven't gotten up to the level yet of. I don't have any of those yet, but I know that the in-game trading and facilitation of items is just second to none for any of the games that I've played, at least. Because, yeah, that it's a perfect solution until the chain itself can figure it out.
Yep, and probably, the biggest thing that's going to come of this patch, I think, from my personal perspective, is now it does look like those shadow stones, which are, backed by Engine, the Engine cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
It now seems like players are going to be able to go into adventures and earn them while playing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
In essence, you're going to be able to, I know you said right now you haven't gotten a chance for that marketplace, but if you're going through through different dungeons and you find, 10 shadow stones here, 10 there, all of a sudden you accumulate 10, 15 engine, there's an epic weapon for you right there,
Yeah, I can't wait. Like, I'm so hopeful that it's going to be back in action tonight.
Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
Because I do have an early stream tomorrow, but you know what? That's what they make coffee for. If the new patch is out, like, we'll just have to plug and play.
I'm right there with you. My sleep has been. I've been taking all this time that I can get to just get extra sleep in, so that I'll be ready for when it comes out.
I mean, I was laughing too because, like I said, a lifelong Diablo fan. Diablo 2 Remastered, which is like one of my favorite games of all time that I pre-ordered, comes out, I think, tomorrow. And It was just like, if Lost Relics isn't out, sure. But if Lost Relics is out, I know I already bought this game, but I'd so much rather play the blockchain version of it.
It's crazy. I think even the crypto gaming community is so small right now. Like, what happens when that word gets out and everybody, all over gaming across the world starts to hear about this concept, and AAA studios and indie devs continue to push it forward? It's I don't know what's going to happen, but whatever's going to happen is going to be big.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree, and I can't wait for it, especially because, not as much as you, but at least I'm kind of ahead of that wave, at least. I'll have my own division eventually, like you said, of
for
like
sure.
the OGs, and yeah. So is
And
there?
remember, like we're really early right now. I know a lot of players are coming in and they'll make comments like, "Man, I wish I was here in 2019, or I wish I was here in the beginning of 2020, because I would have been able to have X amount of blockchain items or whatnot." The games, we're in early access, right? Like,
Yeah.
everything's being developed. Like, if you got into the game, before this patch or on this patch, like the idea of play to earn with and shadow stones dropping didn't exist before. Like, you're going to be one of the first players to actually take that leap, which I think could be the biggest leap the game's taken to date.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like the just ability to be able to buy those items in game without, yeah, like because you couldn't do that before. That's why I hadn't even really looked that much into the Shadow Stones, because it was just like, well, I'll just buy them on Engine X, like at this point in time, and then they're plug and play into my game once I get the asset in my wallet. But
Are there any specific items you're trying to get, or that you have your eye on?
Like, in all honesty, the only, not really. I'm only probably like 10 hours into playing the game, maybe a little bit more, because I'm constantly having to try other games and stuff. And so, after playing X amount of hours of sometimes crap, yeah, like, but I really want some of the really cool pets, and the whole idea of there may be fighting pets would be just awesome. So
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that are very attached to their pet, and even the idea of, like, having multiverse items, having an NFT from one game, be able to be usable in another game. In Lost Relics, you can use your pet from Nestables.
I didn't even realize
game.
that. That's awesome.
Like, so if you've earned it over there, you can use it here.
That's sweet. I do have one of my the skin on my guy isn't actually from Lost Relics. It's from something else that I'm able to use.
Is that one the Binance hoodie?
It might be. It's just some jet black. Yeah.
I think it might be. I can't tell.
I picked that one up. Yeah. I was just like, oh, that's not very expensive. I went on a spree of like, let's look at the low price stuff, and it was like, ooh, piece of candy, like, let me have that. But yeah, is there anything that you hope for the future of the game other than just the general success of it? Is there anything specifically that you could think of?
I mean, so I'll give you two. In terms of like a gameplay aspect, like the major thing that I'm excited to see is going to be how four player co-op like the day where you're able to go into a dungeon and act with your friends, where you're kind of flexing on the pet that you have, or the or the costume you're wearing, or the sword you have equipped, or whatever, and you're all trying to beat that big boss. Like, that's gonna be beast.
Yeah.
And then from an economy standpoint, I mean, Engine's really pushing hard right now with Efinity, and moving to Polkadot. I mean, the idea of having, I mean, it's their, like I said, it's their attempt to solve some scaling solution issues, which could benefit all the developers. So, if something like that successfully happens, I could see a really big boost to the economy.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that this thing, even if the snowball takes a little while, which I think it's proven it hasn't for the amount of people waiting for it and everything, this is one of the games that I see being fair for everyone, not costly to actually just really be able to experience the game, and will give AAA games like a second glance or a double take at it. Like, who is this? Like, what is going on right now?
Where did this come from?
Yeah, like as much as, like I said, I love Diablo 2, I would love for a lot of that community to be like, well, let's go to here and let's do Lost Relics, and Blizzard be like, what is going on? Like, where are these first World of Warcraft like tanks? And now Diablo, like our other one, is just for different reasons, not for World of Warcraft's reasons for that.
Definitely. From a financial aspect, I mean, I've been following the video game industry for years now, just keeping an eye on what, EA, Activision, Take-Two, what all these major companies are doing, Microsoft, Sony, and all that. From what I've seen and how crypto has like progressed, slowly going into the mainstream, my guess is that AAA studios are going to take maybe 1 or 2 more years before they're fully on board with the idea of a crypto game, and where they're willing to support it, like first and foremost being cryptocurrency. But it's going to be, they have a lot to risk, right? You wouldn't want to put your major IP on something that you don't know how it's going to play out.
A, that, and B, they're going to give up a ton of their own money, because I mean, it's like, right, like this whole new model evolved that would have been ludicrous when we were younger and originally starting the game, where it's like, just release the game for free, give it to everyone, and we'll make more money off of in-game purchases than we will just selling the damn game. And it's like that. I would never have said that was the way to go, like back in the day, and it's proven that that's just what you do now. Like,
and the amount, I mean, I remember having those conversations, and so many people was like, there's no way this is going to work. Like, why would I want to make my game free to play and then, charge microtransactions or whatever? Like, why would I ever want to do that? There was huge pushback in the industry, but now it just looks like I mean, games like Farmville, it is the industry.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like you're a fool to not do it now.
Exactly. So I think we're going to be having that same old argument all over again, just with the idea of crypto. So
one of the last things, have you noticed that there's like kind of a lack of story direction so far? Like we're getting it's an alpha, so this is like, we're getting the mechanics of everything like that. Do you think that there will be a loose story that's put in, or just kind of this world that we're in right where it is currently?
That's a really, really good question. Like thinking about into the future, like I definitely think that there will be more story there. The reasons why I say that is because, looking into the item descriptions of some of these things, like there's some really in-depth lore there. Just pulling up one particular item, we'll have 2 or 3 different paragraphs of a description. So do I think there will be more? I do. My assumption would be that from a developer standpoint or from a business's standpoint, you want to I would assume that the first thing you want to prove out would be the gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
And then once that foundation is set, and remember, like, this patch is kind of changing a lot of those fundamental aspects. So, like, I think once that is set and settled, that's probably the time when we'll expect to see more story.
Which, yeah, like, I also, though, I wouldn't care. It wouldn't keep me away from the game if there wasn't. It's just something that, I noticed that, too, with reading just about, like, mythics and legendaries and stuff, where there is a lore to the item itself. But I hadn't actually found an actual, lore to the physical game of everything. But, again, the mechanics are so good, and the setup is so good and enjoyable that it was like, whatever. That's okay. If they're not going to go that route, that's totally fine. But I think we're on the same page with that, where I think that there is going to be something in the future, and right now, who cares about that right now? Let's get the game where we want it. And you can build that type of narrative around what you have already.
Yeah, I'm a personal fan of story, so, I'm hoping for it, fingers crossed, but we'll just have to see what the future holds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about or bring up about Lost Relics at all?
No, I would just recommend for people to jump into the Lost Relics Discord or Telegram. That's where a majority of the brand new information gets released. There's a whole section in there for leaks, so the developer will go ahead and drop some photos or announcements or some piece of information there that'll be really get the hype going. So hopefully we get the update out soon, but I would say that's the main one.
Yeah, that, and the community is also always engaging, and there's always something going on there. It's not like some of the other communities Discord pages that I've gone to where you could have 8 hours go by that no one said anything. And no, they put I was laughing on their Discord. There's the slow, or at least, yeah, there's the slow timer where it's like you can only talk once every 60 seconds. Like,
yeah, and major shout outs to the moderators, because I mean those guys put in some work.
oh yeah, no, everyone over there is prompt to get back to you, or at least will answer you eventually. From, like I said before, go try to do that to talk to a developer at any AAA game Discord. It's like, good luck. They're not there.
Right there with you.
So, anyone that's tuning in, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here, Striker.
Thanks for having me, man. It was a blast.
Yeah, hopefully we can do some joint stream or something like that sometime once we get the patch rolling, and go over some more in-game tips and tricks for while we're doing it. It's
we'll make it happen for sure.
Absolutely. And everyone, go make sure to check out Strike Team Games on YouTube, or you can look for them on Twitch as STRIKERLR, if I'm correct on that one.
That's correct.
Make sure to check out also MarketSquare.io, where it's not just gaming. You can get any blockchain related, DeFi, whatever. And then also MarketSquare Gaming on YouTube. And yeah, we're so happy that you decided to take some time to talk to us in the community, and hopefully we'll be able to play soon again.
Anytime, my friend. It was fun.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody later. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Peace out.